What is like a 30? Oh my God. Welcome back to BT. Today in Body and Balance, personal trainer Wendy Novotny teaches us some exercises to focus on building muscles that shouldn't be overlooked here.
Correct.
Man,
yeah, you want me to hold that for you, Jimmy? Gosh, take a break.
First muscle we're going to look at is shoulders. Why are shoulders important?
Yes, well, shoulders are definitely important. I'm finding that more and more, like in today's world, we're hunched over, we're doing lots of typing, we're doing that kind of stuff, we're texting all the time, stuff like that. So we're not proud and all that kind of stuff. So the shoulders actually help pull us back and down. The other thing I wanted to actually mention really quickly is there is 3 parts to the shoulder, right? There's the front of the shoulder, there's the mid deltoid, and then there's the rear deltoid. So Ashley's going to take a little bit of a step forward. We're going to work on the mid deltoid first. So the first thing she's going to do is she's going to bring those weights up to her shoulders, and she's just going to strict press them. Now, a strict press means no legs are being used. So as you can see, her legs are super straight. She's just pressing them straight up.
And that's getting the front of the muscle?
It's working the front a little bit. It's mostly working the mid right here too. It's also working her core a ton, which is good. Now here at the top, her bicep is right by the ear. Her arms are locked up, and that's perfect. She's going to move on to the push press. Now the push press actually activates legs. It's actually a leg move, but don't get me wrong, your shoulders are going to get a ton of workout too.
Right.
So as you can see, she dip drives it up, and then she brings them down slow. This is almost a negative type formation, and that's where a lot of that shoulder burnout's gonna happen.
And she's not going super low, she's just going enough to activate the muscle.
Exactly, just enough to activate the hips actually. Good, Dash. And then we're gonna bring them down in front of our belly button. She's just gonna hold them right in front, and she's gonna do a lateral raise. Now this one's not necessarily super functional. We're not gonna really ever be in this motion very often, but if you wanna have like a nice mid delt and have like nice rounded shoulders, for aesthetic reasons, this would work really well.
When you see the girl on the red carpet who's got the sleeveless dress with the awesome arms, she did those.
Probably doing these, a lot of figure competition, people do that and things like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to tip at the hip a little bit. So we're going to bend the knees and we're going to tip at the hip. She's going to bring the weights down right in front of her, and she's going to do what I call actually a marionette, or a high pull. She's going to bring her elbows high and back. So this, what I like about it is that we're working the rear delt. The rear delt is often ignored, very, very weak. So with 10 pounds, this is actually quite heavy. Ashley's doing awesome. Ashley's super strong.
You're awesome, Ash.
Yeah.
You got a perfect. She said perfect.
Yeah, she's perfect.
She's never
exactly.
said perfect.
Good. And then I'm going to take the weights.
She makes them cry.
That's right. Another thing I want to point out really quickly is going to be the push-up. So I'm going to get Ashley actually to go just on the floor here, and we're going to go just on an angle. And the push-up is actually really good for the front of the shoulder, so the anterior delt, just because that is really working the front of the shoulders.
Yeah.
You can come on up, Ash, and rest. Good. So the only thing I'll say is you want to work all of the shoulder muscles for sure, but keep in mind that in regular life we're already using the front a ton. When you're putting the milk in the fridge, taking it out, you're using the front of the shoulder
Picking up the baby.
Picking up the baby. A lot of times we're in that anterior mode, right? So what we really need to focus on is working the back of the shoulder. That comes, though, it'll also be played if you're ever working the back muscles as well, like if you're doing pulls of any kind or ring rows, things like that.
So there's lots of different ways to work that muscle, but it should not be neglected. Coming up, we got another muscle that we're not going to try to forget about. We're going to not forget about the tricep. We should probably point it out on somebody who has one.
That's right. We have a nice tricep.
So we'll talk about the triceps and how they can give you long, sexy arms, and also how they'll be practical when it comes to day-to-day. We've got that and more coming up today on BT.
Yeah,
I think it's...
Didn't have to do the